Hello there, it's Fabienne Fredrickson from clientattraction.com, where we help you get more clients, make more money, and multiply your business. And today's topic is about why clients sometimes back out and what to do about it. Sometimes, for whatever reason, a brand new client decides to back out and not go forward in working with you, even before they've started your work. So you have spent time marketing to that client, following up, cultivating the lead, successfully going through the whole closing of the sale process, and you've gotten a brand new client who suddenly backs out. And I think that there's nothing more frustrating than that. So what do you do? What is the right thing to do? Do you let them just walk away, or do you actually do something about it? Well, in my opinion, how you respond to the situation is directly related to the reason that they're backing out. See, once you know why they're backing out, you can respond accordingly. And so it's important to examine what's really going on with their situation and get down to the real reason why they're not moving forward in working with you. And in my experience, it boils down to 4 different reasons. The first is they may simply not be your ideal client, right? Admit it. Whatever that's the situation, you knew this deep down inside, but you decided to take them on anyway just because you needed the money, okay? We've all been there, and what I've experienced is that usually comes back to get you. So in that case, you know, if they're not your ideal client, then perhaps you let them walk away. Number 2, they may not be convinced of the value of what they'll get from working with you. Okay, they may not get the value of what they'll get as a result of investing in working with you. Number 3, if they bring up the money as an issue, and I'm sure that you've heard this before, I can't afford it, my husband, my accountant, my this, my that, right? So you've heard it before. And number 4, sometimes clients have limiting fears that keep them from moving forward, even though they really need your help. So what do you do? Well, let's look at the 4 different scenarios and talk about solutions for each, because there really is a different solution for each. So if 1, they may not be your ideal client, then in this case, I do believe that you should let them walk away. When you try to convince someone who isn't right for you in the first place to continue working with you, that is only going to create problems later. I've done it, you probably have done it. Trust me, it comes back to bite you, it comes back to haunt you, because a client who isn't your ideal client is just not going to get the right results. They won't refer others, and they'll just be an energy drain for you. So be in integrity, let that person lovingly go. Number 2, if they're not convinced of the value of what they'll get from working with you, you're probably talking too much about processes when you're talking to them about your work, rather than about the results that they'll get from working with you. People don't buy processes, they buy results. So I want you to let this be your mantra. People want results, 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 results. So you, when describing your work and when describing your programs, you want to talk about results. And if your prospect isn't clear that they'll get the solutions to the problems that keep them up at night in working with you, then they just simply will not plunk down their credit card to work with you. So the solution to this is change how you talk about what they'll get, and it'll make all the difference. Okay? So number 3, what if they bring up money? Money is an issue. This is usually an excuse hiding the real reason. And I know that there are people who genuinely don't have the money. But I've found this to be often true in my many, many years, someone will the next day change their mind and use money as an excuse, and what I found is it's probably because they aren't convinced of the value that you'll bring. So let's face it, we've all met people who really want to work with you, but for some people, money can be an issue. And there is a difference in their approach to the person. Let's say you have a person who genuinely does not have the money, and a person who does have the money but is using money as an excuse. You can tell right away, because the prospect who doesn't have the money but really, really, really wants to do the program will try to find a way to find the money. They'll ask about payment plans, they'll start to save up, they'll say, I will start in January, even though everybody says that to you, I will start in January, or they'll put down a deposit or something. That is the person who will do anything to make it happen. But if the prospect that you've just signed, who just backed out, isn't scrambling to find a way to afford your services or your products, then it's usually a question of not seeing the value. And in that case, you have to go back to talking to them about the results that they really want. Okay? So, number 4, sometimes clients will make a decision and will move forward in doing something good for themselves, and then limiting fears creep in and stop them from moving forward. And here's what I've learned. So the person says, I really want to work with you, let's do it, and then they go home and they start having fear of failure or fear of success. And you know what? It's happened to me too. I'm sharing this with you because I know I'm not the only one, but a few people, and very few people will actually let themselves be vulnerable enough to talk about this, but here it is. In my experience, many, many times, especially in my early days, I have limited myself and gotten in my own way just when I was starting to take a big step towards my goals. And I stopped myself and I essentially got in my own way of my own success, and by backing out, by being wishy-washy and going back on a decision that I've made. And I've seen this happen over and over again with clients too. And what happens is we have our big dreams and we say to ourselves that we'll do anything to make them happen, but then when given an opportunity, we sabotage our own success. And usually, and ironically, it's because of the fear of success or the fear of overwhelm or whatever it is. So because it takes one to know one, if I sense that this is going on, depending on the client, I will actually gently ask if this financial discomfort that they're experiencing could be a limiting belief. I tell them that I've had people go through the client attraction programs and realize that the limitation that they had around getting to the next level was actually rooted in and created by their own mindset. And once we examine their business and their success mindset, most people find a way to make the investment. When you call it out and you put words to their worry, people will then realize like, oh, I'm just getting in my own way, and they will make the investment. And I tell them that this is what our coaching is about. It's about really looking at that client's perspective around business success and around making money in their business, and then taking massive action on it. It's not just the marketing. So your assignment this week is more of a complicated one, and it's more of a mindset-y one, right? I want you to spend some time thinking about what clients have said when they've backed out from your program. Look at the real reason that they had, whether it was something spoken or unspoken, about backing out. And then list these on a piece of paper. And if you suspect that it's a limiting belief, then talk to them about it and gently show them that they might be standing in their own way. Right? This is about taking a stand for your client. If you really love that prospect, whether you know them or not, but you really, care about them and want them to succeed, then take a stand for them. Now, you've got to be super gentle about this, and I always ask permission to be direct, because some people will be open to this kind of coaching and some people will not. But really talk to them about their belief system around working with you. Now, if it's a value issue, then it's time to change the way that you speak to your prospects about how you work together. And it's also time for you to change the way that you close the sale, and especially, double closing the sale. And the bottom line is that you've worked really hard to get that client to sign up. Don't let the client walk away unnecessarily. Use these techniques, and if all goes well, you'll be back to celebrating that client signing up again. Enjoy. I will see you next week. Bye.